again. Welcome back. This is my final zombie episode for. I did 3 in a row. This is the final 10 stack here. I'm gonna get to some other stuff. I can probably keep going on zombies, but I might get to some other stuff, and then maybe in a few weeks I'll come back and do like another week, another freaking 30 zombie movies, if I have another 30. But I'm gonna get right off to the start here. This one, I had no clue what to think of this. I had never seen it. It's Day of the Dead Bloodline. This one is from, when did this come out? 2018 it says. Utter shit. It's gonna be straight up and honest. This is possibly the worst zombie movie I've ever seen. Its acting is just fucking horrendous. The film style's horrendous. The storytelling's horrendous. It is just a pile of turd, honestly. It's so bad that halfway through this Blu-ray, their voices weren't even aligning anymore with what they were saying. It was almost as if you're watching a foreign language film and the voices just aren't even a lot matched up. But it got so far off that I had to reset the Blu-ray and scene jump back to where I was, and then it would do it again. So there was some kind of like manufacturing error, I think, because it was just brutal. So I had to finish the final act of the movie hearing things that were happening before the picture even got there. It was just, oh my god, fucking just a disaster. Avoid at all cost. I would give this a 0.5 star out of 5. Just because that's as low as you can go. Absolute turd. Next up here, we have the follow-up to Train to Busan. This is Peninsula. Had a lot of high hopes for this. And, I have to say, some of the CG is just shit, to be honest. It takes you out of the experience when the CG, like, oh man, I think this is a fun action zombie movie. But it shouldn't have, like, it should have nothing to do with Train to Busan, because Train to Busan is such a masterpiece. This is like straight to DVD, run-of-the-mill action zombie movie with mediocre CGI with some scenes of horrendous CGI, like straight from a video game, basically. Yeah, this is another avoidable one. I watched this back when it first came out, and then I just watched it again, and it didn't get better. Like, it has a couple decent scenes, but in an okay story. This is not even near. This is more like a 2, probably, for me. But, like, leagues above that, my 10th place one, Day of the Dead Bloodline. But yeah, if you like Train to Busan, and you go to watch this and you haven't seen it, just don't think it's Train to Busan, that's all. Go into it thinking it's just a random zombie movie, and you might find a little more enjoyment out of it. This next one here, from Scream Factory, this is Zombie High. This was a first time watch for me. Had this in the collection for a while. I had no idea what to expect. It's got Virginia Madsen from Candyman and lots of other movies. This is, what, 1987, I think? 87. And, what can I say? This is kind of another letdown. Like, it had some okay, no reversible art. Comes with the Blu-ray and DVD. It had some okay, like, okay storytelling. Nothing spectacular. The transfer's not the greatest. You can tell they're not working with the greatest materials here. But, it's like it's well, it all takes place in like a high school, and a bunch of all the teachers and faculty and stuff. They're all like part of this cult, basically, of people taking a serum that keeps them young forever, and then they stop taking it and they start to turn back into zombies. And has some okay music, like mediocre 80s music. Um, it does have a song that sounds exactly like "Fight for Your Right" from Beastie Boys, and I was like, wow, I was gonna look it up and I actually forgot to look up who came first because it's so close to Beastie Boys. I was like, what the hell? Uh, who ripped who here? But like this one's worthy of a watch. This is more like a 2.5. This is a little bit better than Peninsula. Not much. It's pretty slow and tame and not hardly any gore, if any, really. Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel bad shitting on movies. I have a hard time coming into an episode and just being like, this movie's shit. Don't watch it. But like these first three are skippable. The first one extremely skippable. The second one skippable. This one's you could watch it. Some people might find some enjoyment out of it. It just wasn't my cup of tea for a zombie movie. It was a little too slow and boring. But hey, to each their own. It wasn't the worst one I watched in this pile. Next up here, I hadn't seen this since I was a little kid. The first one I already did, and it's one of my favorite zombie movies of all time. But this is Return of the Living Dead Part 2. This is from 80. What is this? 88. It's this is another one, like, it's got a lot of cool special effects. The music's fun. The acting's just over the top and crazy silly. It's got a lot of things I like about it. This is another, like, 2.5. But its storyline just isn't good enough. It feels a little all over the place. It really feels like just a really long, extended Michael Jackson's Thriller. Like, extremely long version of it, basically. And that's okay. It is fun. But honestly, if you don't like Return of the Living Dead, you're gonna fucking not like this one at all, because Return of the Living Dead's silly and crazy and shit too. But this one just ups it to like just childish levels. Like it's kind of insane, to be honest. But hey, it's worth a watch. It's tons of special features on here. I watched some of them, not all of them. Lots of cool like special effects stuff. That's usually where I go to because I love seeing how they actually did the stuff. But it's worthy to be in your collection. This is one that I would. It's worthy of the purchase. It's just not like. Here's the thing: if it wasn't Return of the Living Dead Part 2 and it was just like some other of the Living Dead movie, not following up that first one, I probably would have liked it a little more. But when you're coming off of one of my all-time favorite zombie movies, and it just doesn't hit the mark enough. But yeah, worthy of a watch. I'd definitely try it. This next one here, this is also extremely silly and just ridiculous and cheesy. This is Zombie Strippers. Stars a couple porn stars and Robert Englund, basically. Robert Englund and some porn stars. But, okay, so this is like nudity from beginning to end. It's basically just zombies stripping for the first 3/4 of the movie, and then the final act actually picks up and starts giving you some decent kills and stuff like that. But with zombie strippers, it's not. This one's a hard one for me to rank too because I was laughing throughout the movie, and it did its job on there. There's some pretty funny one-liners. There's some really disgusting shit where the stripper will like take her G-string off, and there's like goo, and she throws it at the wall at the one point, and it sticks right to the wall. It's like there's a lot of good comedy, but if you're going in like hoping for a great zombie movie, it's not that. It's like cheesy as fuck with pretty brutal acting for the most part. But if you're there for the cheese and the boobs and the stripping and a few laughs, then this one is for you. This is another 2.5 from me. That would be my score on it, but yeah, zombie strippers. It is what the title says it is. Zombie stripping. But yeah, worthy of a watch, definitely, if you want to have some fun. Next up here, at number 5 for this episode. This is Wormwood, Road of the Dead. I'm pretty sure Scream Factory put this out. This one I have, it's from Raven Banner. It's good enough. I'm not gonna buy Blu-rays when I already have a Blu-ray of something. That's something I don't do unless it's like some kind of insane collector's edition. Is I don't buy the same movie twice on the same format just because of packaging. Just because I'm not rich. I gotta spend my money and add new movies to my collection that I don't have, or else I just have the same 1,000 movies. But yeah, this was first time watch for me. I've heard Brendan from Our Life in Horror talk about this. It's like it says it on the cover, Mad Max meets Dawn of the Dead. And that's really true, but not as nearly as good as either of those. But it has some good comedy in it. It has some great action scenes. It's basically just like there's not a lot of story. It's just basically action piece into action piece, just constant zombie stuff happening. So it's quick paced, and there's a guy in it, pretty funny. I'll give you one funny comedy part that made me laugh. This is the kind of comedy you're dealing with. So there's a guy that's going to take a piss, and his buddy's like yells over to him, why didn't you take your gun to take a piss? And the guy looks back at him and he's like, how do you expect me to hold my giant monster cock and my gun at the same time? I was like, I was laughing pretty hard at that. It just caught me off guard. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I heard there's a sequel. I haven't seen it, and I don't have it. But I'll probably look it up to see if I can get my hands on it, just to watch the sequel. See what they do next with this. It has some cool stuff. There's not a whole lot to talk about with zombie movies. Like, it's hard to deep dive on a zombie movie because they're all so similar. Like, if I start saying too many parts from a movie, then I'm just kind of giving you a movie trailer and ruining it. So I try not to. I just ranking them. This one is yet another 2.5, pushing towards a 3 for me. But yeah, this is a lower end episode for zombies for me. This next one's from George A. Romero. This is Survival of the Dead. Now, although I think this is George Romero's worst of the Dead movie in his entire catalog, there's still some fun, gory-ass kills. It's just, the storyline's a lot weaker. It feels a lot cheesier than his other movies. Like, I don't know. There's just something about this one. This is, for me, another 2.5. We have, like, I only have 3 left, and we haven't even hit, like, a 3 yet. It just feels just lackluster. Like, that's, like, when you go into a George A. Romero zombie movie, I'm expecting just, like, a little bit of quality. This one feels like he just kind of pushed it out. There's not a lot going on. It's, but with that said, there's some really good gore, as like you expect with his movies. There's the acting isn't like horrendous. It's got a little bit of quality to it. It is what it is. It's Survival of the Dead. If you are a George Romero fan, you gotta add it to your collection, obviously. This is the ultimate undead edition. I didn't watch any special features. Comes with quite a bit, so I don't know. I didn't like the movie enough to go deep diving into the special features. But maybe I'll give it a watch in the future and it will grow on me a little bit. It's hard. It's hard for me because I've watched so many zombie movies in the last week that maybe this episode is getting a little bit of my last win for zombies for the week, and I'm being a little harsher than I should be. But it's still not great. Like, I'm not going to tell you that a movie's really good if I don't think it's really good. This next one here at number 3 for this episode, this is The Girl with All the Gifts. This is a newer one. This came out in 2016, 2017 area, I think. Doesn't actually say. One of the best films of the year is a little bit of a overstatement. But yeah, decent acting here. This one also has some unique elements. It adds, it takes place in a big city, and it's got your survivors, and this main girl here, the young girl, I don't know what her name is. Sania Nanua, possibly. And she does an excellent job. She gives such a great performance, and she's like, oh, I don't want to give anything away on this one. This one moves up to like a 3 to 3.5 for me. And I do think it needs, I don't want to spoil any storyline at all. I'll just obviously say the typical with zombies. It's got some good gore. It's got a lot of good like action set pieces. The acting's all solid. Has a pretty cool storyline. It's got some uniqueness to it. Solid ending. I'll just keep it simple like that, but you should give it a watch, because if you haven't seen it, it's definitely, this one's moving into like better territory here. And my number 2, this is from Scream Factory. This one just came out with the 4K that I haven't picked up, and I'm not going to actually, because this was Night of the Comet. And I actually think this Blu-ray looks good enough. I'm just going to stick with the Blu-ray on this movie, because I'm not the biggest fan of this movie either. Like, this is another 3 to 3.5 again from me. And this one does move into a new territory. Like, it feels like a coming of age, like teen girl storyline mixed with like, well, I read on the back, it says Night of the Living Dead meets Valley Girl. That's kind of true, actually. It kind of feels like that. But tons of special features on here. This is 84. Year before I was born, this one. it's got a cool storyline. Like at the beginning, the whole world is just like, oh my god, the Halley's Comet, or is it Halley's Comet? Don't quote me on that. There's a comet coming. We'll just say that. And so everybody's celebrating the whole world, and then it's like the end times, basically. And I think my biggest, like, I love the setting, and I love the music, and I think the acting's pretty good, and I like just the storyline. I like everything about the movie, except it's very lackluster in the zombie department. Like, there's just not enough zombie in the movie. Zombies. I think that's where why this doesn't move into elite category for me. But some people might like absolutely love this movie, and obviously a lot of people do, and it's got a good cult following because they decided to put it out on Blu-ray and then double dip and get 4K dollars as well. So, like, I would definitely, if you don't own it, probably just grab the 4K because it probably comes with this Blu-ray as well, and possibly, I'm not sure on that, but it's worthy of a purchase for sure. And then this last one, my number one for this episode, I just bought this specifically. I ordered it 2 days ago, and it just got here. Had to order it in from the States because it didn't even have it here in Canada. But this is from Blue Underground, and this is Lucio Fulci's Zombie on 4K, and it's also known as Zombie Flesh Eaters. Yeah, just Zombie Flesh Eaters. I thought it had a bunch of different names. But yeah, the 1979, this one. Tons of extras on this. Like, freaking hours, actually. 4K transfer's excellent. Although I haven't seen the original version of it, so I don't know. Like, if I had it on DVD or something, I don't know how much better it looks. I'm guessing a lot, because it's pretty freaking gorgeous. As I've said before, Blue Underground, they really nailed their transfers. Jeez. The movies just look excellent and sound excellent. But, yeah, this was a first-time watch, and this is, like, classic zombie shit here. It stars Tisa Farrow, who, is Mia Farrow's sister. Mia Farrow from, like, Rosemary's Baby. Just keep it at that. Tons of other shit, but Rosemary's Baby. Yeah, her sister's in this. She was also in a movie I did in possibly my first or second episode called Anthropophagus. She was in that as well. Now, this one is a slow burn zombie movie. It is more about the storyline and just character building. But the sound in this... So for the first half of the movie, I was questioning whether I liked this movie as much as the cult following it has. I found myself, like... I was thinking, oh, this one's a bit underwhelming. It's not good. And then in the second half of the movie, when they start, like, getting to it, and zombies start rising from the graves and stuff, and the music starts to get really intense. It just grew on me. Like, I started to really feel the energy this movie was giving me, the vibe. Excellent soundtrack and score. Really cool scene with underwater scene where a zombie actually is like eats a shark. It's a zombie versus a shark, and it was cool. I don't think I've ever seen that before. It was really unique. Like, the zombie bites the shark's fin right off at one point, and he literally takes down a shark. And I just thought that was wild. Really cool scene. There's some nudity throughout the movie. Not a ton, but a little bit for people that enjoy that. There's one of, like, an extremely famous, seen it probably 100 times in documentaries and shit like that, eye pop scene in this, where a girl gets her eye ball stabbed, basically. Really good stuff there. The zombies all look excellent in the final act of this movie when they start like coming in droves. They all like the work that goes into them is really good. Uh, it's got an okay storyline. It deals with like voodoo, a doctor trying to like figure out what's going on, and he's kind of part of it too. I'm not gonna spoil anything there for story. I don't want to ruin too much plot because there's not a ton of plot. It's a zombie movie, but there's enough to get you interested. Um, a couple of the acting moments were pretty bad, and they get to you a little bit because it's some of the people are dubbed because they're Italian. I watched it in English. And in a couple days, I'm probably going to watch this again, but try it in Italian this time and see what changes and stuff. But this one is like 4 to 4.5 for me. It's solid, and especially if you're talking about like this actual release. Now I know there's much better versions of this movie on the market. This is just like the standard 4K. I know there's like thick collector box versions, I think. But I'm good with just this. This is what I could get my hands on. Wasn't cheap. And I'm happy with that. It'll look good up on my Blue Underground section over there. But yeah, this was a pretty shit stack. I was gonna say solid, but this is a pretty shitty stack, to be honest. Like it's not nearly as good as those first two stacks. There's from worst to best for me. Like, oh man, the only one that I say don't even waste your time, like just other shit, is my 10th place, Day of the Dead Bloodline. This movie's just fucking garbage. It's going over in my garbage section. I have a wall way over in the corner, and it's whenever I watch movies that are just utter shit, and I know I'll probably never watch them again, they go on that wall. So it's just, they're out of sight, out of mind, and I know not to worry about looking on that wall when I go to find movies, right? Just everything I've seen that's garbage. And this is going over there. Peninsula almost gets over there. But that's staying over there in my horror section because it's good enough. But yeah, we got a 0.5 star and a buttloads of 2.5s to 3.5s. And then 1 4 to 4.5. Like I said, not nearly as good as my first 2 episodes. Still a lot of fun to be had if you love zombie movies. And here's the thing, like, everybody to each their own, right? Like, this is just my opinion. Some of these movies might be other people's freaking favorites for all I know. Like, I know a couple of these feel really culty. Like, Wormwood, Road of the Dead feels like that could be much higher for some people. Zombie Strippers could be much higher for some people. Return of the Living Dead Part 2 could be way higher for some people. Like, there's some culty ones that are just opinion based. But, man, I keep yawning. It's 1 a.m. I keep feeling a yawn coming on, and then I try to stop it. But I decided to record late tonight because everybody was up late, so my house was... This is like... I have to try and do it when it's quiet around here. We got 2 dogs and 5 of us living in the house, so... yeah, I'm just going to keep this one short and simple. My next episode, I'm going to be getting off of zombies, and it's just going to go back to a wide mixture of a bunch of different stuff that I'm watching. I have a couple episodes planned. I have another small shipment coming in from Imprint out of Australia that they're sending me for review. And I haven't seen any of the 3 movies they're sending me, so I'm really looking forward to watching those. They're 3 horror movies out of the 1940s. super excited about them. And I'll be doing an episode on that in the near future. They're already in the mail, in the sky, basically, flying here. I ordered a huge bundle from the Vinegar Syndrome halfway to Black Friday sale. I got a big pile of those coming, so I'll probably be watching a few of those. They'll be coming up in episodes in the near future. Yeah, I'm just gonna figure it out as I go. Watch some stuff. I'll probably have a Ghostbusters episode coming up when the new one releases later this month. I'm gonna watch all of them, including the all-female one, and give my thoughts on each one of those movies and rank the franchise as a whole. Yeah, that's about it in my near future. But thank you for joining me yet again, and I will see you in a couple days. Thank you.